Jonathan MLH. How are you, sir? First time back to the computer since Winnipeg, so God knows what's going to work or not work. All right, I'm going to say hello to everyone and let them know that I'm doing this. Am I going to do that? I think I am. Oh, if they don't know, they don't know. I found some copyright infringement, non-copyright infringement music, and I had the absolute most revolting lunch. I've got to say, oh my God, I feel quite ill. Yeah, just horrifically bad Greek food. So yeah, I don't know how long I'll be with you all. Not long, probably. Waiting patiently, Jonathan MLH. Oh, right, of course, yeah. I on the Discord, I let everyone know that I was going to be more like 3 o'clock than 2:30 today. So I had a little meeting, but oh my God, the worst lunch. Like just a lovely lunch in that I got to chat with my friend, but the food, it's hit my stomach like a ton of bricks. It ain't pretty. It is not pretty. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. I would like very much to just let everyone know that I'm doing this because it would be nice for them to know. It'd be nice to be joined by the odd person now and again. God, I actually wrote a social media post about not wanting to do any more social media posts. And then I was like, well, there's a certain silliness to that. But honestly, recently, it's really been bugging me. I keep getting sucked into these things, and then I start going down a rabbit hole on things, and I'm like, you know what? I got to back off on this social media stuff. It's driving me a bit crazy. Mark611, good evening from Finland, and good afternoon from Toronto. Captain Catherine, thank you very much for that. People are subscribing. 35 Infinite, thank you very much. Mandy2462 saying good evening, love and hugs from Liverpool. Fantastic. That is not a Liverpool accent, in case anyone was thinking that I was doing that. I don't know how Liverpool sounds. It's like that, isn't it? Sort of like that. No, that sounds Irish now. I don't do accents. Accents suck. Or I suck at accents, maybe. Okay. And of course, I've already said hello to Jonathan MLH, who's here. It was total keener. Was here really early. D&D stream was super fun last. Oh, I'm so happy. I did this stream with James Argerty for some charity stuff, and was it Child's Play? It was Child's Play, which of course I immediately think of Chucky, but apparently it's not just Chucky. It's Child's Play is actually a charity that just helps kids out with games, basically. Having a hard time, gets them some games, tells them how to work stuff out. It sounded like a fun charity, and my friends were doing it, so I thought, James actually dragged me into it, kicking and screaming, in fact. But I had a lot of fun. What am I going to say about this? It's a good question. I know what I'll say. I will give us a little list of things that we're talking about. That's what I'll do. Tech bandits. Let's see this. You guys all get to witness my amazing social media skills. But as I say, just really, for some reason, it's bugging me right now. I don't know what it is about it. I'm not quite sure what's getting me, but it's nothing specific. It's just like a general malaise about the social media stuff. I just maybe it's my own headspace where I feel like I keep bumping on stuff. Like I keep finding stuff that sort of bothers me, that I start to get worked up about. Then I'm like, why am I getting worked up about this? I didn't even know it existed like 2 minutes ago. Like someone was groping Gaston at Disneyland, and I was like, that's terrible. Like, because there's this video of this woman, and she groped Gaston's breast or chest, I guess is probably a better word. I guess at one of these Disney things, and so of course it immediately divided Twitter or whatever it was on, because people were like, oh, what's the big deal or whatever. But I'll tell you, having been, in those strange situations like conventions, I would say 99.999999999% of the time people are great, but that 0.0000001% who misbehave, it can be very, very uncomfortable. And I'm not in any way equating it to what women have to put up with, but I feel like, let's just blanket statement, just don't touch people unless you want to be there's a whole consent thing that needs to be worked out there. You know what I mean? Especially in a a business environment or whatever it is. Not business. I mean, I guess they're not really business, but I mean, you don't have to feel obligated to post to check it. What I missed? What I missed? I thought of Chucky too. Yeah. It's definitely. It reminds me of Chucky for sure. Hey, from the Netherlands. Hey, Drameja. Boy, that's a fun name. Drameja. You've got drama in your name. How can you lose with that? Have I missed anyone else? First time chat from Razor B. Greetings from Belgium. Wow, I love it when people are from all over the place. I just sitting here in Toronto, feeling a little queasy from a bad lunch. Okay. All right. I'm going to just get this social post out. If I can get my ADHD brain to work for me for a second here. How about this? We'll join me live to talk GeneWar, Screaming Tomatoes. I was kind of happy with that one. Epigenetics and Invisible SquidMen. It's a good combo today. Some fun stuff to talk about today. I need to put in that. I need to put in a photo. Let's do a photo. Let's do a photo together. Okay, everyone? Here we go. We're going to do a photo together. There we go. Put the camera on. I'm going to take a photo. No, I don't want a video. I just shut up. Go away. Just cancel. Don't allow. Go away. Let's just do a little camera messing around here. Here we go. This is us together. Look at us. Oh, aren't we having fun? Look at that. Hey. Okay. See how many passwords I've shown up while I've been there. Anything? I don't think I've said anything. Have I? All right. Okay. So that's done. I'm now going to send this. Here we go. Adding a photo. What's going on now? What did I miss? Paper clips. Thank you very much. Do that. And then I think we are ready to rock and roll on this. I'm going to add that. Add it. Did it work? Did it works for me? And then the thing that I've gotten into the habit of doing now, which I love that it makes me do this now, is this. I'm using this Loomly thing, and it can actually remind you to add alternate text to the images, right? So it reminds me to go, hey, what can I describe this? What should I describe this as? Stargate Genius, real life leader, David Hewlett. There you go. There we go. I have a lot of fun with my alt tags, just so you know. When in doubt, whenever you see a tweet or whatever from me, always check the alt text on the images, because I take great joy in being a little bit cheeky in them at most times. Let me see, adding the alt text to this one. I do this. There we go. Paste. God, see, social media, it just takes up so much freaking time. Look at this. All this pointing and clicking and tweety posting or whatever I'm doing. All right, that was Instagram. That one. So that one's not going to let me do a link. What does it not want? Oh, it hates the image size for Instagram. Well, you know what? Screw Instagram then. Forget it. Instagram's dead to me then. I'm not even going to bother. All right, so if I go next. Come on. Let's go. I am publishing it now. There you go. Okay, so there's a tweet. So now everyone knows. Everyone who might want to know knows. Did anyone check out Email of Awesomeness? I so love doing them. I do them even when I'm working. It's like, even when I can't do these things, I can at least do my Emails of Awesomeness. I've also got a potentially thoroughly embarrassing way of doing some, not TikTok. I think I do YouTube Shorts, because TikTok seems a little bit, God knows what now. I haven't been able to sleep. Shanlaws, or is that like Santa Claus, like Shanlaus? Yeah, sleeping, overrated. Hey, David, long time no see. I was wondering if you'd be interested in coming to the Denver Fan Expo in June. Sounds fun. What's Denver like in June? What did you read? What did Nexy Geek read? People have been reading things. Oh, you did? Oh, the email. Good. Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you, Rion Pyros, who liked the great email of awesomeness. I always look forward to these. It's just fun. You don't have to read the whole thing, but it's just fun to, even for myself now, just to pick out those little things that I want to, in my week that sort of inspired me in some way, shape, or form. Denver is lovely any time of year. I'll tell you, Winnipeg isn't. I love the people of Winnipeg. I really do. They are truly some of the nicest people I've ever met. Certainly one of the more talented, passionate, and some driven crews that I've had in a while. Just amazing bunch. Some incredible restaurants. I mean, the last time I was there, it was like the whitest town on the planet. It was as snowy white as the fields around it, as the prairies around it. Again, lovely people, but just just very prairie, shall we say. It has now become this like hub of immigration. And as a result, there's been this like explosion of amazing different restaurants and stuff. So the town is like hopping. There's like all sorts of great stuff going on. It's still Winnipeg though. That's all I'm going to say. And I had to shoot 1 day of filming, the entire day. The entire time I had 1 day outside of filming, and it was the coldest it had been in 100 years. On that day, not the coldest it's ever been. Otherwise, I would have died. I would have just died. There's no, but you can't complain because everyone's from Winnipeg, right? So what are you gonna do? Like, as a Torontonian, I'm like, this is ridiculous. They're all like, yeah, whatever. Are you interested in the new possibilities of the Unreal Engine? Oh my God, first time chat, Acropole, absolutely. Epic is just cleaning up on this stuff. I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in a combination of Unreal Engine, their amazing metahuman stuff, and AI. And I would say one of the things I would push people to focus on right now, well, certainly these game engines, but specifically Unreal seems like a great one. And there's so many tools out there that they're all free. They're like a combination of like Blender, Unreal, AI, and this metahuman stuff. We could be making some cool stuff, I think. Jazime, thank you very much for whatever you've just done. Something popped up with a sheep. It means something happened. I really don't feel well. So yes, Acropole, I am fascinated by Unreal Engine. I'm looking forward to using it, and I'm just gonna die on. I think I'm just gonna die on stream today of some kind of a bad Greek food related incident. I think metahumans are there. They've created these incredibly realistic, non sort of generic humans. I mean, there's still a tiny bit of that uncanny valley that happens. But let me see if I can find it for you. I spoke to an amazing person who worked there. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff with that. And I really should follow up because it's one of those things that I keep meaning to look into more. All right, meta-human Epic. Here we go. Yeah, meta-human by Epic Games. There's photoreal digital humans. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I mean, wow. Yeah, like check out their, I mean, geez, can I share this? Can I share this page? Is there a way to do that? Is there a way to do that without getting myself in trouble? Let me see if I can do this. Me sharing Chrome. Does that work? Chrome. Let's see what I've got. There you go. Is that it? There you go. All right, so check this out. Oh, I guess I have to, did I make it too small? I make it too big. Was it tab? How did you, I've forgotten how I've done this. Is it alt? Is it alt? Yes, look at that. And then alt. I mean, these things are extraordinary. Look at this. Like, that is those are fake humans. How freaking cool is that? You know? I mean, it's people always laugh at me because I'm like, you're an actor. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to teach these things how to act. Because I think the issue we have now is that they're photoreal, but they don't act like humans. And I think it's like they're like soap opera actors and bad soap opera actors, because some of them are very good soap opera actors. But the idea that these things could be trained to actually give performances is fascinating to me. And the idea of making movies without all of the crazy logistics. I'll tell you a perfect example of this stuff, of what to use this stuff for. And if I was Epic Games, I would say, Epic Games, this is something you should push. They should create high fidelity, photoreal, digital kids. And the reason for that is because the rules about working with kids on film, first off, I don't think kids should work on film. I just think it messes with their head at a time that they should be growing up and they get treated like kids. And they get given lots of money, and it throws off their whole concept of, I mean, I started when I was 16, and it's like, you know, you get one of those paychecks and you're like, why would I go and get a real job? You know, I mean, I think it really messes with a lot of stuff. And also the set is a better place than it used to be, but it's just, I don't know. It's just so, you just get so up your own butt about stuff. And I just think kids need to probably avoid that. God knows they've got enough social media to deal with that. Anyway, so I'd like to keep kids off of set. So if you could create digital humans that could play those roles without being creepy, although some kids are pretty creepy too, to be fair. You know, I think that would be amazing. So, all right, let me see if I can figure something out here. But that is this metahuman stuff, and it's just extraordinary. I wonder what else they've got. Do they have any other examples? I mean, here we go. This is their video. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it, or are you? Maybe you can. Do you hear anything? Oh, you don't hear YouTube for some reason. Isn't that weird?
Initial spark for the metahuman idea.
I don't know why you guys don't get to hear this, but the stuff that they're doing is pretty neat. Like, look at the detail in that hair.
Strand-based hair and turn that into
look, you could. Boy, I wish I could change my hair that fast.
Helmet. That is kind of magical.
You know, again, there's a slight uncanny there. Still, it's still not human to me, but. You know, for a quick glimpse here and there, and kids are creepy anyway, so, you know, I'm sure you could replace them. You know, I just think that's a neat...
You can empathize.
That would be my pitch to Epic Games right now, would be to get them to use, to look at making some kids happy. In fact, what am I saying? I suppose that's something we should be doing. There you go. So I could... Oh, you hear it? Oh, you hear it as well. You hear it, but I don't. Oh, no, what have I done? Oh, for God's sake. Me and Gimpy G have been playing around with stuff. And I've probably screwed things up with the sound. Okay, so you can hear it, but I can't. You know what I'm going to try doing now? I'm going to try turning my headphones on because I find that I hear better when they're on. Okay, confluence of AI technologies also provides for many new storytelling opportunities. Very exciting. Yeah, I agree, Drameja. I mean, the AI stuff is... AI... I don't think we even comprehend. I think we need AI to tell us what's going to happen with AI because it is the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless. Can't you send the audio straight to your hearing aid? No, because my hearing aid sucks, Jonathan MLH. Because like most of the technology for the hearing aids, it's back in the 1990s and proprietary and doesn't work well, doesn't play well with Apple and. Honestly, I use I'll tell you what, look, I have them on me all the time. My AirPods. I use them as hearing aids now. I use these as hearing aids. They are better than the freaking thousands and thousands of dollars worth of earphone what are they called? Hearing aid stupidity. You know, I'm gonna have to start wearing them on set. I'm gonna have to start painting them flesh colored and shoving them in my ears. 1990s tech bad. Yeah. Bad tech, good music. Exactly. But if only I could stream that music to my earphones. Not earphones, my ear holes. My, what are they called? Hearing aids. That's what I want. David, with AI, what's your stance in terms of plagiarism and content stealing when it comes to AI created content? I mean, nobody centered that the AI generated is, so it's not like you're stealing from the actual person, but I don't know what your thoughts. Horrid72. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm a little cavalier about it. I feel like artists steal. That's just what we do. Like, I mean, I think that everybody is influenced by the art they've seen. And, you know, I suppose, you know, every image that I have seen informs any art that I will make, right? Any audio that I've listened to, any movie that I've watched. This is all content that gets sort of garbled up in my head and comes out in the form of whatever I write. So, I mean, I had an interesting argument with a friend of mine about this because, you know, again, the plagiarism thing was an issue for him. And he's saying like, well, you know, like, and I said, well, okay, so let's say I could come up with a piece of AI technology that could examine an image and tell me what the influences are so they could all be given a, you know, like a residual payment or something for the use of the image. And he's like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. I was like, great. And if I ran it on your stuff, he goes like, yeah, they would get nothing because I haven't ripped anybody off. And I was like, you have. You have been influenced by God knows how many people as an artist. And I guarantee you AI will find parts of your images that are influenced in some way, shape, or form by the images that you've seen before. So, and only AI could find those connections. I think it's a bit sleazy the way perhaps these companies have sucked back these images. In some cases, like if an image has a watermark on it, I feel like isn't that by definition declaring that it's someone else's property? And that is showing up in some stuff as well. But honestly, I don't know how you hold this stuff back. I feel like everything I've posted on Instagram, everything I've posted online in some way, shape, or form was designed to be seen by other people. And we just it never occurred to us that those people looking at it might actually be AI, and those AIs may be using it to generate their own stuff for other people. I think it's absolutely, in a weird way, it hasn't changed the way I feel about technology. It's changed the way I feel about imagination. Like I feel like this is making me re-examine the way we imagine and the process of creativity. Like I feel like AI is making me question how are we creative? Are we not doing the same thing? We are a series of similar pieces of gray matter, shoved together inside our craniums. They're obviously doing a lot of repetitive stuff because they're just by the very shape of the things, of the literally the physical form of our brain seems to be a repetitive, shape. So potentially, is there something? Does our brain perhaps work in a way of just regurgitating different bits of information that we already know? So it's literally made me wonder about how what is creativity? Because the stuff that comes out of Midjourney, in my mind, is creative. I mean, it's not, I don't mean in a weird soul of the machine thing. I mean that it's inspired. It's inspiring. I see stuff in it and I go, ooh, and I will take it into Photoshop and go like, oh, let me take this out and put that in because I love the idea from this one and I love the background of this one. And so I will meld images together. But I'd rather not. I'd rather be able to type in what I want and have it show up with the various different, connections I've made. I mean, Warhol's a perfect example. I mean, he came to fame with a picture of a freaking Campbell's soup can. I mean, you can't get more derivative than that. And yet it was a statement, an art statement, and it was, and it caused a fervor unto itself. I feel like we are on the cusp, like we were on the cusp between painting and photos. When photos first showed up, where people surely there were artists going like, this is wrong. You didn't have to do any of the work and you get a picture. In order to get an image of something before photography, you had to have the skills to paint it, literally, or draw it. And then a camera showed up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, all you need is a bunch of money in a box with a hole in it, and you can make yourself an image. I feel like that's where we're at with creativity now, from a design standpoint. So what do we got? James Grady, what is this? A Thursday Tech Bandits? Yeah, it is, James, because I had bad Greek food, so it's late. It's a late Thursday, chitty chat. What have I got? Pug Dance. A couple of months ago, an AI art software got caught stealing pictures on the internet and merging them together. And people found out about that because of the watermark on the bottom of the AI art. Yeah, so exactly. So if it's stealing images, if it's stolen, stolen. If it has browsed millions of images that have watermarks on them and it starts building the watermark into its generation, you have to understand how it's working, I think, is part of it. And I'm sure I will oversimplify this, but basically it takes noise and out of the noise creates the image it thinks you might want to watch, you might want to see. I mean, so it's not taking bits of this and bits of that. It's taking pixels of this and that and going like, I'm going to put a pixel here. Does this pixel make sense for what I'm doing? Okay, great. What about this one? What about this one? And it does that a billion times until it's got an image that makes sense to you. Or not. But part of the other problem is with this stuff is that there's a black box problem, which is that the AI has no way we have no way of knowing. I shouldn't say there's no way. We could probably program an AI to tell us what's being used. In fact, we're probably going to have to do that. But as things stand right now, these are huge models These are huge amounts of information that have been sort of like crunched down into these massively, what are they called? LLMs, the large language models. So they've all been shoved into these things, and then those things are used to generate what we want. What is it using in that model? And that's not human readable stuff. That's all machiney stuff. So you'd have to reverse engineer it to go back and figure out what images it's stolen from, for want of a better word, stealing. But I truly believe that the nature of creativity is stealing, is taking things. There are looks that as a kid I practiced in the mirror because I wanted to look like Mel Gibson, or I wanted to look like Doctor Who, or I wanted to look like. I mean, do I need to pay him residuals? Please say no. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're not taking the whole image. They're taking all of the images from all over the internet, for good and bad. I mean, when they first started these things, one of the issues they had was you type in doctor, you got a white guy. Every freaking time you got a white guy. When you typed in nurse, you got like a Filipino or a Latino or a Latinx, or you would get someone like these classic stereotypes. That crush dreams and continue the racist, societal issues that we have. I had a great discussion with Baz this morning, and I was voicing these concerns about how I was like, I want to be an ally, I want to help, I want to be a part of the solution, not the problem, but I'm worried we're tearing ourselves apart. And he said because we're trying to fix a specific issue. We're trying to fix specific issues instead of just trying to solve the whole problem. And it's such a good point that he's making. And it drives me nuts that a 15-year-old kid has to explain it to me. But the idea that we're trying to fix things by saying like, oh no, we've treated people of color badly. Now we've got to treat people of color differently in order to have safe spaces for them or whatever. And then but not fixing the problem, which is the systemic issues of racism in the society. Anyways, so I feel like we're not with this AI stuff. I feel like it's sucking in all this information from the internet. It's images from all over the internet. It's got all the horrible biases and sexist and homophobic and racist and Christian and Muslim and Jewish, and they're all of the different bits and pieces of things that meld together that people can argue over, and then it spits out our own vitriol back at ourselves. So I think that's part of the problem. So oops, the chat's gone crazy. I should be. What did I do? What did I say? Hey, Wolf Pup. How are you, Wolf Pup? There should be an AI to detect if an AI is using other AI software. There is, Pug Dance, and it's become a war to some extent. There will be AI that detects AI, and then AI to stop AI from detecting AI, and that's sort of a bit of a another little sidebar. The war in Ukraine right now is a testing ground for unmanned vehicles. It is a war zone where every side and every country is like, ooh, we can get our drones in here and see what kind of damage they can do on their own. So this is in the same way like the Gulf War was the first. Well, no, I guess a better example would probably be like Vietnam was the first media war. Like where there was news and footage and access to what was going on there that riled people up. We lost that war at home because of the footage that was coming back about that war. I feel like Ukraine is the autonomous drone war because we are going to come out of this horrible situation with some real issues. Of weapons that kill. Now, if you're gonna have to kill someone, I would rather you kill one person than kill 100,000. Like I'd rather, better that we have a specificity to our assassinations than nuking an entire city like we were doing at the end of the Second World War. That ended the Second World War. I like to think, maybe we've progressed a little bit, but we've got a freaking trench war in the middle of Europe. Like, what? Did you ever think that was going to happen again? So, I wonder if maybe instead of blowing each other up, we could just put our leaders in a ring and have them beat the crap out of each other. And although, God, even that probably wouldn't work either, would it? I mean, I don't know, but I feel like we've just taken a bunch of steps backward with this stuff. Anyways, all right. Nope, I haven't brought up any decisive topics recently. You haven't? No, Brian, haven't? No. I guess what I mean is, if I ask AI to generate me a painting or something, can I then call what it creates my own? I don't, to be honest. I really don't. I in my mind, I feel like I say, like, this is how AI responded to my prompt. That's how I refer to this stuff. I would never call these my drawings or my pictures. I absolutely love the creativity of it. To me, it's like sitting down with a guitar and just and trying different chords. It's a different type of music. It's a visual music. I absolutely love it. I feel like it's brought excitement back to my social postings and my I don't think I would be doing the email of awesomeness if it not a part of that wasn't coming up with fun different approaches to images for that stuff. So for me, it's really opened up the creative floodgates in my mind. You know, people say, like, you know, well, you should be paying an artist. I'm like, well, if I have to pay an artist, I couldn't afford to do it. This is allowing me to do this. And, you know, I mean, I think we got to figure out the rights and stuff. And that is certainly going to be where you want to know where the technology is going, is look where the freaking lawyers are. But the lawyers are being replaced. The lawyers are being replaced by AI as well. And that I love, because why am I paying $600 an hour for a lawyer who then passes all the freaking boring crap over to some intern who then runs around and looks up a bunch of stuff, when I could just type it into AI? I mean, I think that is the future of law. Absolutely. But I think it's going to come into play in the film industry as well. It's going to put a lot of people out of work. I think this is a lot of, you know, I mean, I remember when word processors first started, everyone said, like, oh my God, well, now everyone's going to write now everyone can write a novel. And I was like, well, so what? There's going to be a lot of shitty novels out there, but at least they're going to be, but if there's one good one, it's great. You know what I mean? But literally, people were freaking out. They were freaking out about the fact that people could basically print their own books. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so old, I've been here before. You know what I'm saying? Oops, I'm getting text. What's going on? I'll make sure my son's okay. Okay. Baz had a big math test today, so I'm hoping that went well. With the author's permission and knowledge. I guess so. I just don't know how much. If we're going to make AI companies pay royalties for the images that they use, do we charge artists for the images that they're using in theirs? And I'm not saying why is the process of the physical process involved in doing. I can physically rip stuff off. Look at fan art. I mean, some of my favorite stuff is to look at fan art. Go onto whatever it's called, any of those art places, and you see people who done, you know, cool little chibu, what are they called? The big-eyed versions of Avengers, or look, I got little Pokemons as presidents. I love that stuff. I love it. It's all copyright infringements. Technically, whoever did those I paid for those. Technically, I should be paying. Who makes it? Like Nintendo or whatever for that. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. I feel it's a slippery slope. I think we got to be very, very careful, because, you know, and I think one of the things we need to look into is, what is creativity? You know, how much of, like, look at the movies. How many movies you've seen and gone, like, that's exactly this. The whole Saw franchise was based on the last image in Mad Max? Wasn't it Mad Max? It was Mad Max. And he was, like, chained to a car that's going to blow up. Was it Mad Max or was it Road Warrior? I can't remember. One of the two. Bad guy chained to the car with a handcuff, and he goes, like, he gives him a hacksaw. He says, you get through your leg in 3 seconds or whatever it is. You get through the thing in 5, and drip, drip, drip. And yeah, like, that's literally an entire movie franchise based on something that had already been filmed in a movie. I'm just like, we're all thieves. We stand when they say they were standing on the shoulder of giants. We're also picking their pockets at the same time. You know what I mean? AI is not pasting and copying, Amy Kit. It's not. It's not. There's no such thing as. There may be elements of that in some of the stuff. Midjourney is creating clouds of dots that come together into the images that they're using. They are not taking chunks of anything. They are taking a machine learning algorithmic examination of the data and going like, what is it that makes this look like an Aardman animation, stop motion animation? This is one of the ones I use a lot. I use that and Pixar and sometimes a bit of Tim Burton or a bit of Jamie Hewlett. Jamie Hewlett did Tank Girl and does the gorillas, that kind of stuff. And then I guess the question is, where's the creativity there? I mean, now you could argue that the creativity is in me saying I want to put those weird images together with a raccoon. Like, is that creativity? I think in a way it is. Is that my art? No, I would say I am merely using a tool to spit that art out. So in the same way, I feel like we need to come up with a different name for it. Like we didn't go like, oh, let me take your oil painting. You know what I mean? Like let me take your photograph. We should call this like AI graphs or something like that, or machine learning images or something. I'm sure we can come up with a better name. You know me and my naming. I'm not very good at naming things, but nor should I be allowed to. But I mean, they should have a different name because this is a different art form, I think. It's like how humans are inspired by each other's creations. We are inspired by each other's creations. And this is it. What I love about the AI stuff is that it comes up with things that I haven't thought of. And then I go down that road. And maybe this is an ADHD thing. That was a diagnosis that has definitely influenced a lot of the things in my life right now. I started examining them in a different way. And I wonder if maybe, certainly as a tool, I mean, we should ask Lance about this. I mean, the idea of not being able to move and being able to type in a prompt and have it paint for you, and all of a sudden you're creative now, like you have a creative outlet. I mean, at what point does the creativity stop? Is it, okay, are you a painter unless you don't mix your own paint colors? Are you a painter? Are you less of a painter because you don't stretch the canvas yourself? Are you less of a painter? Everybody starts by mimicking other people's stuff. Almost everybody. I mean, unless you're some kind of crazy genius, most people mimic and mimic and mimic until they find their own style. People do it with writing. People do it with acting. People do it with art, with design, with all this kind of stuff. It's all, look at the coding world. The world of programming is all cutting and pasting of things from different programs and then to figuring out how they work and then making them your own and making them work for yourself. I mean, I feel like I'm worried that one of these this institution of copyright, this institution of who owns art, I worry it's going to get in the way of our creativity because I don't want these tools to go away. I want them to be around. I want them to be available. I want them to, I want to get a rough draft of a paragraph done for me that I can then go in and make my own and go, oh, that's funny or that's not. And that, you know what I mean? Like no one's going to be able to write my jokes for me yet. Maybe they will eventually. But it's great for gathering information and putting it into a bunch of sentences that I can then go in and jazz up or whatever. I mean, like I use these tools all the time and I love them. I use them an awful lot for, again, none of this, I guess, is commercial, right? So I guess I'm not making money, so I'm not ripping anybody off, I suppose, to some extent. But like one of the things that I use it for all the time is Python coding. Normally, I would have to go to GitHub, or I'd go to Stack. Was it called Stack Overflow, whatever it is? There's a bunch of different sites that I would go to try to find answers to coding issues that I have. I just go to ChatGPT now and say, like, how does this work? And it explains it to me. Or I go, like, just write this for me and explain it. And it'll write the code for you and explain what it is, and then I can go in and tweak it for my own stuff. I am absolutely taken with it. Boy, you started me on there's a slippery slope, that question, wasn't it? I should bring into our Discord chat, because I want to make sure I'm not missing out on anybody right now. Let me see. What is that? Got it. Thank you. Is there anyone sitting in this? There's no one sitting in there anyways. I'm on my own. All by Yes. Oh, there you go. It's fine. So I'm on my own anyways. There is no one in voice. Yes, there is. Is that the pup? The
No
vibe
expression.
pup?
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Do you listen to my rant? My rant about AI?
No, I did not listen to your rant.
Of course you didn't. Why would you? You've got way better things to do. How are things? So what's up? Tell me all about your life. Tell me all your troubles, all your cares.
We just got our report cards.
And?
I did good on science.
Great. What? So, okay, you did good on science. Was there a but to that? He says, like, I did good on science, but I failed. What do you...
No, that's really it. I did good on science.
Are you in trouble?
No.
Ah, great. So there you go. You're great. That's fantastic. Are you happy?
Oh, yeah. Everything I got was 3s.
Out of
And
what?
3 are basic out of 4.
Oh, geez. Okay, great. Okay. I was going to say 3 out of 100. I'd be a little worried about you. I'd be like, you should stop Tech Bandits because it's obviously destroying your brain. 3 out of 4. That's great. Okay, so, sorry, remind me of what grade it is. Are you great with grade 9, grade 8? What do you?
8.
Grade 8. All right. Okay, great. All right. Grade 8. It's that weird middle grade. Do you change schools to go to the next year?
Pardon?
Do you have to change schools to go to your next grade, or does it go all the way through to 12?
No. I have to switch schools.
You do have to switch schools. Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand why they do that. Why don't they just have the same school the whole... I don't understand why they don't... You know what I mean?
Then it would be too big.
I guess.
Because we are already at like a maximum capacity.
Even my fairy hated grade 8. And you know what? I think I did too.
I'm doing good with grade 8, so...
No, well, you're obviously smarter than I was. And probably am. So what's... okay, so best mark, worst mark. You don't have to give me numbers. But what... So what was your best class?
Science.
Science. Sweet. All right, and worst class?
French.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah, French. Now, bad teacher, bad subject. What is the? You just hate it?
I've always had bad teachers with French, so.
French is so funny because I hated it. I went to summer school every year for French. Every freaking year. I used to fail. They used to make me do summer school, and I'd fail it again because I hated it. I didn't see the point. I thought it was stupid. And they were always showing me that stupid snowman guy from Montreal. Bonhomme!
Neige.
What's his name?
Bonhomme de Neige.
Bonhomme de... That's it. But that's Snowman, isn't it?
Yeah.
But isn't there there was some guy from Montreal who was like, Bonhomme! He's just to try. Je parle un petit peu de français, Acropole.
I don't know these.
So I took it forever. Hated it. But then you know what you do? Go to Montreal. Or go to France. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, I understand the odd word. And it's kind of cool. It's like a programming language for humans. It's just like another language. And the more languages you know, the more you can do with humans. So I found I quite enjoyed it after a while. Not in school, ever in school. I didn't enjoy anything in school. School destroyed everything for me. But that's my own experience. It's not yours. I also think school is different than it was for when I was back there. Elizabeth Z. My French teacher was so mean, and I thought I couldn't speak French, and then I went to France, and I was fine. Yeah, I mean, it's also the French I found that you learn in school was not the French that I was using anyways. You know what I mean? I tried to get Baz to watch French YouTube videos. I was like, just watch like French YouTubers. You get all sorts of cool stuff and learn how to swear in all those different languages. They teach languages wrong at school. ChatGPT is good for language learning. Is it? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Je t'aime bandits du tech, LOL. That means I love
the tech bandits, I think.
Love tech bandits. Yeah, or the bandits of tech. And I practice while watching videos in English like this stream. Interesting. Wait, what? Wolf Pup is Vibe Pup. C'est vrai?
I think it's because people keep saying Vibe Pup and Wolf Pup, so somebody was just correcting them.
Vibe Pup, Wolf Pup. Yeah. What are you changing to next?
I think I'm gonna stay with Vibe Pup.
Vibe Pup's got a good vibe to it, I would say. I would definitely go for that. If you were saying bonhomme, that means good man, right? I remember some French. Yeah. Yeah, Bonhomme was good man, and he was like this. He was like this really creepy kind of like. He looked like something out of the Santa Claus parade, and he was this like. He was like, I guess he was like some kind of a tourist image or tourist mascot for Quebec. Hello, eh? I like my eggs side by each, my bacon parallel, and a side of toast. I look in my closet, and there they were, my skates gone. Yeah, so it's definitely a different way of speaking French. It wasn't that they didn't teach useful things; they were just really jerks about it. My Chinese teacher was super nice, though. There you go. I mean, teachers do make a huge, as we know, teachers make a huge. Oh, I see. Guy. Bonhomme is more like guy. So there you go. So it's good guy. All right. So worst is French. Second worst?
I don't think I had a second worst.
They're all clustered near the top?
Yeah, actually.
That's great. And then do you take the same subjects again now? Wait, so you've got a report card. Are you on to new subjects now? How does it work? What happens now?
You have the report card, and then you just continue doing the exact same thing, and then you see if you improve over the semester.
Oh, right, of course. I remember that. Yeah, that's right. And then during pandemic, they were shoving them all together into one semester, all the same classes. So they changed it a bit.
They do shove them all into the same.
I do. Okay. Did I tell you I had the worst lunch? I had like the best lunch, and then I talked to a friend that I hadn't talked to for a while, which was fantastic. But we thought we'd get together for these Greek fries, which we love. They call them Spartan fries. And they're basically fries with feta cheese and then gyro on top. And they are not as good as I remember them. They sounded, now I feel ill just talking about them. Dr. N, PhD. Hope I didn't miss the genes and epigenetics talk. No, you did not, because I'm too busy rambling about other things. Yeah, well, get ready to correct the crap out of me, because this epigenetics thing is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. What they're basically saying, Pup, is that your environment, like what happens to you, can affect how your genes are expressed. Like, so it can, that like there can be physical responses by your genes to your environment, and that and again, this is where I find it very hard to believe, but apparently, and someone will explain to me about how right or wrong I am, apparently those traits can be passed on, which seems like different than anything I've ever. That's like the old days. They were like, well, giraffes. They were animals, and they had to stretch their necks to reach the plants, and so because they had stretched their own necks, their kids had stretched necks, and then they stretched their necks, and they got longer, and eventually we have giraffes. And then Darwin comes along and goes like, no, it doesn't work like that. What happens is the people who can't reach the leaves die out because they don't do as well. And the people who can reach the leaves, the animals that can reach the leaves, they're doing better, so they thrive. And so that strain of animal does better than the other ones. But this is like going back in time and saying like, well, maybe these events in the environment, are not genetically changing you, but they're changing the way your genes are expressed, if that makes sense. So one of the examples they used, which was extraordinary to me, was the idea that you got these little rats, little mice, and because it's always mice. And I don't know why scientists have such these science punks, they got a real problem with mice. So they put them all in a room, and they waft it with the wonderful scent of cherry blossom, and then they zap them with electricity. So those mice, they get freaked out whenever they smell cherry blossoms, right? As would you and I'm imagining, Vipup. So, yeah. Right? So you're freaked out about that. So wait a second. Then they took those mice, they got them dates, got the dates knocked up, and then out come baby mice. And what happens when they smell cherry blossoms? They freak out. So they're saying, wait a second, that's not hereditary. Like that's not being passed on by, how is that being passed on? Right? That's like saying That's like saying I traumatized you as a kid, and your kids are I don't know, like more, more nervous or whatever. You know what I mean? That's even McFerry. That's what they're saying. That is so sad. I know. Everyone's like, the poor mice. This talk is amazing. And I'm sure that, I would welcome anyone who knows what they're talking about to jump in on here. But this talk that came up. Let me find the email. Where's my email of awesome awesomeness? Everyone go check their email of awesome awesomeness and see if they can find the link for me. All right, here we go. This would be. Isn't that wild though? Like that kind of blew my mind because I was like, no. It doesn't work like that, right? Like it's not supposed to work like that, right, Vipup? Oh, have my headphones gone dead again? Nope. Oh no, it's Vipup's gone dead. We've killed him. It was so exciting. Oh, is that? Hey, James.
Hello.
Thank God you're here. I was about to butcher biology for you. Am I getting it right? That's what she said in this chat.
I haven't seen the chat, but it doesn't sound incorrect. So
it doesn't sound incorrect to you. See, isn't that? But doesn't that just sounds like a bit like magical, doesn't it?
Well, biology is very magical. It's,
I had never ever heard. I had always, been basically told or understood that genes were genes. Nothing that you do to yourself is gonna like I don't exercise well and my kids come out fit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It has limitations, but effectively what most epigenetics boils down to is.
By the way, this is James R. Gurney. By the way, Dr. Professor James R. Gurney, just who I'm going to thank again right now for being here, just so everyone knows who's talking. Thank you. Yeah.
Your genome is real big. Okay. So.
Well, thank you.
It's real nice.
You got a real nice genome. Thank you. You got a real nice genome too.
Shame if something happened to it.
All right.
You don't need all of it on any one time. So think about the different type of cells you have, right? So you have cells that make up your eyes, cells that make up your nails, cells that make up your brain. Mm-hmm. They all have the same genome. So your body has to have a way of controlling, what gene gets turned on at what time.
Right.
And one of the ways that this happens is by a thing called methylation. Mm-hmm. So this is like a chemical that sits on the bigger structure of a genome and silences it. I think I said, in the message that you sent me the other day, we were talking about X-chrome silencing. So if you're a woman, I shouldn't say that. If you have an XX chromosome, one of them is typically silenced. So only one of those genomes, or only one of the genes on each of those two chromosomes will be active because there's two copies, right? So because it's a sex chromosome, you don't need both to make a functional human. You just need one copy because people with XY, they don't have an X copy to cover. So typically that chromosome is particularly good at just having one version. Lots of the rest of your genome, you need both copies of each gene on both sides. So one from your mom, one from your dad. They come together to make a good thing. But so your body has to have a way of silencing genes, and it does this by this methylation trait.
Jelly tots.
Effectively put something on.
That's how she explains it. She explains it with jelly tots. It's real. She uses strings of like ribbons of licorice, and then jelly tots that pop on and silence or promote whatever the thing is. She does a great. Did you see it? You didn't see this video.
No, sorry. People see my mic's but I'm just gonna get it a little closer. But I got a lavalier mic, so hopefully that's a little closer.
Oh, I see.
I keep losing my voice at the moment, so.
I can't tell whether you're dropping out or whether your voice is dropping out. It's both. It sounds
I think it's my voice.
Was it all that D&Ding?
Yeah, that was a big section of it. It was doing that voice for 3 hours.
It was 3 hours. It was a long. Well, it wasn't actually 3 hours, but it was pretty close to 3 hours. That was fun, though. I got to say, I enjoyed that. It was fun madness, though. Okay. Okay. So sorry, just to go back to for a second. So you're saying that there needs to be a way to say, whoa, we don't need as much of that gene right now. Of that protein that the gene is producing right now. So back off.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna have a way of turning off genes. There's multiple ways of doing this. So one way is at the beginning of a gene, you'll have like a section that tells the genetic code, all the stuff that's going on. Hey, turn this gene on if you have this transcription factor.
Right.
The other way that the genome can be controlled is by, again, as I started this conversation, your genome is pretty big. If you were to take your genome out of a cell and stretch it, it'd be about 2 meters long. So you have to fit all of that into one cell.
Wow. Along with the Greek lunch as well. That's a lot.
Yeah. You got to wrap it up and wrap it up and wrap it up. And so it gets wrapped up into this like multiple macro structures. So there's like, it turns around these things called histones, and then each of those histones gets turned into another section, and it just gets rolled and rolled and rolled until you end up with this really tightly controlled ball. You can't really turn a gene on if it's in that ball. And the way it, again, I'm simplifying quite a bit here, but the way it keeps that ball structure is by things like histones. So it keeps that thing as closed. You can inherit that DNA structure though. When you copy the genome, nothing magical happens. If it's methylated in that structure, when the sperm and egg meet, it's still methylated. So if the environment hasn't been conducive to unwind this bit of DNA, it could still be silenced when it reaches the next generation.
But that's so. I guess I get. No, I'm sorry. This could be a newbie question, but if it's silenced, when you say it's silenced, let's say as the term, it's being silenced all over the body in every gene, like in every DNA strand is getting the same treatment somehow.
Not necessarily. It depends. If you start with like a child, when it replicates, you have to, it gets complicated here where you have to replicate stuff and unmethylate and remethylate stuff. You can have parts where, if it's being methylated, it will unmethylate, copy, I believe. This is where I'm a prokaryotic. We don't really have this kind of issues, and then remethylate back to where it was. So the DNA remembers due to several processes.
Is it like those? Is it like those shapes, those metals that, when heated, will return to their?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. That's sort of how I always picture them.
Yeah. It's also, you talked a little bit about some of this Lamarckian evolution idea.
Was it Lamarckian? Is that the guy who was like, yo, stretch your neck and your neck gets bigger? Yeah,
the neck gets longer for giraffes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not really fair to say it's Lamarckian. So. This might be a little too inside baseball.
Really?
There is Lamarckian evolution.
Me and my biology friends don't like this Markian thing you're talking about. Yeah.
You want to be careful of that.
Yeah. Wait, don't be throwing that Markian thing around. That's some big words for such a guy with little DNA. Yeah.
Yeah. The Darwin people be angry at me.
Right. The Darwin people would be?
Oh, yeah. They hate Lamarckian.
What? Because it's, hey, buddy, is that the ham is in the house?
I'm here from the gym. I dropped in to ask you, can you give me a cool fact? There's this one guy from school who I tell him all my cool facts that you give me.
Okay.
And he's asking for a new one. I'm wondering what you're talking about for today in GeneWar.
Well, right now we're talking about the fact that you could potentially, and again, stop me if I'm wrong, James, that potentially you could inherit your parents' trauma. Is that fair?
Oh, that's the rat stuff, right?
That's the rat stuff. Yeah, tell them about the cherry blossoms and the electrocution.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dad. Have a good GeneWar.
All right, enjoy your workout. Don't drop any heavy weights on your toes.
I will.
All right.
Thank you, James. Bye-bye.
James, is that correct? Did I just lie to my son, or was that right?
I think we all lie to our children occasionally.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no son. But basically, that's. I mean, look, that's where the self-help books and I worry that that's where we're going to get into the spiritualists and the. But basically, there's a possibility that the way your parents are, the environment your parents grow up in, could affect the way you are as a person. Is that right?
I think that's very true. And, so one thing I'm always reminded about this is I remember talking to a friend of mine when I was doing my genetics degree.
See how he just throws that in there, Vipup? Just throws in the old genetics degree. I say things like, when I played a geneticist on television. Yeah.
That was the last Gilmore film I was in. A friend of mine, his father is a doctor, still is a doctor, and we were talking about biology as you do at the pub, because
not my pub. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I was talking a little bit about epigenetics, and he was like, "Oh, it's so fascinating to hear that you're open-minded to this idea that your lifestyle can change your genes." I was like, "Well, it's not. The gene isn't changing. The unit of heritability isn't changing.
Yeah.
You haven't changed the gene. You've changed the body's ability to read that gene
and to process that protein or whatever."
Yeah. So it's no more than saying, hey, if you eat certain. Let's say you eat certain kind of proteins with different.
Let's say I eat a really bad Greek lunch. Let's just out of the blue. I'm going to use that as an example. Yeah.
So let's deep dive into. So you've just eaten a bunch of feta cheese.
Oh God.
So
on greasy fries.
Yeah. So that's some you've got probably some lactobacillus type bacteria has entered your gut.
Oh.
It's probably going to survive for quite a while. Some of them are going to survive.
I don't know how long it's going to survive. Yeah.
They're going to start making metabolites. Those metabolites are going to go into your bloodstream. They're going to enter your brain, and it's going to change your behavior.
Yeah. Like, I'm already getting grumpy.
Is that evolution? Is that just neuroscience behavior? Like, at what point? Let's say that change.
See, I would have thought of that as just chemical. Like, I would just thought, like, we're bags of chemical. You put in some crappy chemicals, you're going to get some crappy. You become a crappy bag.
Yeah. Yeah, but they could affect your ability to reproduce again. Let's say you wanted to have a kid.
Thank God.
For some reason, again.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. Jane finally sees the light, leaves. I have to go dating again. They want kids. I see where this is going. Okay.
Back on the scene.
Yeah.
You're eating Greek fries. The date's going terrible because you're eating Greek fries.
I'm just doing I'm doing my single dance. I don't know if that's not how I attracted Jane in any way, just so we know. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Everything you do will affect, at some point you push in a system somewhere, you put your finger on something and it will change the behavior somewhere else. Like the chemicals you have access to in your body now will change how your metabolism will work for the rest of the day, et cetera, et cetera. So I view epigenetics much more like this side of things where, hey, yeah, you could change behavior. And on the broader scale as an evolutionary biologist, I don't consider it like an evolutionary process, but I could see if you are a survivor of mass starvation in, when the last French famine was, or in a war zone or things like that, that would probably change the histone profile of your genome, and part of those things would be passed down to your children.
Well, one of the interesting ones was alcohol. That does absolutely affect the way the genetics of the child, by the sound of it. There was some kind, I can't remember exactly how it was related to it, but there was some kind of it actually, I guess it mutates, it can actually mutate genes. The nature, like alcohol itself could do that.
Alcohol will definitely, it's a poison.
At this point, Jane's response to that would be, F you, James Gurney. You could take my glass of wine from my cold, dead hand. Yeah, I would say the same right now.
It's not a poison. No more so than anything else is. It's just the amount you can tolerate is probably less than some other things.
Well,
and a lot more than other things.
And the more you drink, the more you need to drink to get the same effect, right? Because your body is adjusting whatever. Well, that's actually a perfect example. Wait a sec. So I don't drink at all, and then I start drinking again. So I've started drinking some red wine. I have the odd beer now. It only takes I get one beer and I'm like the life of the party now. It used to be like I could drink a bottle of vodka and I'd be like, still be like, where's the booze? So obviously something is happening in my body that is breaking that alcohol down, and I'm no longer producing, I guess, as much of that as I did when I actually drank more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's to do. It makes a ton of sense. I'm just wondering if it's to do with DNA methylation or not. Like, what increases alcohol tolerance? I actually don't. You found something.
Would it be
I don't
tolerance,
know
or is
the
it just
answer.
breaking it down? I'm just like something's got to break down the alcohol, right? I guess that all just goes to your
so
liver.
it breaks it down. It breaks it down into methanol first, and then you have the different alcohol dehydrogenases break down from methanol into I want to say urea. Again, this is all human biology. This is all the boring stuff.
What? This is the boring stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to your phages.
They're just much easier.
What do phages count as? Phages are viruses, I guess. Is that right? So they're
Yes, phages are viruses. Yeah.
you don't even know if they're alive.
I mean,
Do you have
they're more alive than some people.
That's like my people ask me like what it's like working with visual effects, and sometimes I say like sometimes it's better to act towards a tennis ball. Sometimes you get more back from that tennis ball than you do from humans.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder if the alcohol dehydrogenase is increasing because you are changing the histone patterns of it. It's not impossible. That could be why the tolerance to alcohol increases, because that's the alcohol dehydrogenase ethanol. Is it ethanol to methanol and then acetyl hydro? It's some.
I hope you're talking to yourself, because
I am talking to myself. Sorry.
Okay, good. All right, good. Because I'm like, I can be of no help to you here, James.
Yeah.
I can only.
Yeah, Dave, tell me a little bit about metabolism of the.
James, let me tell you how it is. From the one YouTube video I watched, it's like the pandemic that turned everyone into virologists.
Oh.
Everyone all of a sudden could explain exactly what everyone. We've got I won't name names, but there's a friend of mine who, whenever I say something terrible happened to someone, they go, "Did they get vaccinated?"
Yeah.
And I've got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to tell you. Of course they got vaccinated, because they're not idiots. Well, that's why.
Yeah, 98% of people have been vaccinated. Oh, that this person dies. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then they got hit by a bus. Bingo. Vaccine.
Yeah.
Me and Joe Rogan, we're gonna start our own. Yeah. Is he anti? I heard he was. I don't know where to watch his stuff.
I don't watch him.
I was like the guy from what was that show? Fear Factor has his own podcast. That's how old I am. I'm like, the guy from Fear Factor has his own podcast. He used to host the show Fear Factor. You ever watch that?
I think so.
Yeah. It was a terrible show, but man, you could not look away. It was like people would go into like glass coffins and they'd pour like scorpions on them and stuff. Like it was. I think it was soon after one of the writer's strikes, and so they didn't have anything to write about. So they went to a lot of this reality television.
Yeah.
And so they just started ripping off Asian television shows, basically.
We were watching. My wife and I were watching Scrubs, and it gets to the point where the writer's strike happened, and it's like you could just tell the flipping like directly after the writer's strike how different television became.
Yeah. I got to say, Scrubs is still... Are you watching... He's got a new one on Apple TV called Shrinking. You seen that?
I haven't watched it yet.
I could watch anything that Bill Lawrence does. I absolutely like... There's just something wonderfully charming about his stuff. It's popcorn. It's fluffy. It's cotton candy, but I love it. You can't watch too many of them.
Some really just... Cougar Town, for example.
I could not watch Cougar Town.
I thought it's just one of those nice shows.
It's funny, I never watched Cougar Town. I don't know why, because I was like, hey, it's the woman from the Bruce Springsteen video.
Really? Oh, yeah.
I've become so old that I'm like, well, she's not an actress. She was just pulled out of the stage by Bruce Springsteen. And then she became friends.
And of course, Ted Lasso.
Oh, I love Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Ted Lasso, again, it's got to his point where his, Scrubs had some. We've gone from Epigenetics to Scrubs. I love tech band.
See, welcome to my ADHD. I embrace it. Maybe this environment will make you more more incoherent. More incoherent. Even my phages don't understand me anymore. Yeah.
Like low drama comedy. Scrubs had some drama, had some contentious issues and stuff like that. But Ted Lasso is just like, hey, it's. I never described it to my friend when I was telling me, it's about an English football club and about an American running it. They're both British people's tenants. They were kind of like, sounds a bit cheesy. I was like, no,
it sounds so American, doesn't it?
Watch it.
Yeah, I
watch it.
heard the pitch and I was like, oh, the fucking the damn Americans trying to get muscle in on oh look, I guess soccer is gonna make them some money. And then I watched the show and I was like, oh my god, this is just charming. It was just lovely. It was just what I needed in the pandemic. I needed like something that. What was that?
Pleasant, like
Yeah.
everyone wasn't a. There's some things about culture and stuff, but there wasn't an outrightly racist character, or isn't a outrightly
Yep.
there isn't a bad guy. It wasn't some maniacal force. It's just hey, we want to play a game of football.
It was entertaining. It was just entertaining, and I think that's look. I would argue that that's on a Stargate level the same thing, where it's like the villains were villainous. It was like the Disney of science fiction before Disney became science fiction. But it's I feel like there's a place for those shows, and Shrinking. I did not want to. I never want to. Now I think about it, I never want to like his shows. I auditioned for Scrubs back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I went and I did an audition in the old hospital that they used for the production office and for shooting. I went and auditioned for them. I didn't even get a call back on that. As a kid,
as a main character, or as like
as one of the leads. Yeah, one of the leads. It might have even been his role. The
JD.
Yeah. But did you ever watch his movie, that film he made while he was doing Scrubs?
Not Sunshine.
Something like that. State?
Garden
State.
Helmet, right?
Garden State.
Garden State. Yes. I thought it was really good.
It was one of the reasons why Jane and I got into making movies, is we wanted to make movies like Garden State.
I want to make Garden State.
Yeah. I loved Garden State. Although I heard there was some kind of drama about that recently or something.
I watched Rye Street.
What do you think?
Rye Lane.
And?
Really good. Just nice. Just
but
lovely.
didn't you struggle at first? You're like, what the hell is Hewlett talking about? At first, did you find that at all?
Well, you told me to struggle for first 10 minutes. I was like expecting it, but like.
And did you struggle though? Did you find yourself?
Minutes,
yeah.
Oh, first 10 minutes I was fine. It wasn't grabbing me, and then I think the restaurant scene was like, oh, this is gonna be.
Oh my god, that was fantastic. Yeah. And she was just so engaging. I mean, they both were, but she particularly, I just couldn't. You can't take your eyes off her. She's just a marvel. Like, just there's a light. It's like it's like someone, instead of shining a spotlight on her, it's like she's the spotlight. Like, you're just like, wow. You know what I mean? She's just, her performance, and then anyways, yeah, Rye Lane is I highly recommend it. As I say, I started watching the first 10 minutes. And so what I like to do in my open, understanding, selfless way, is I try to ruin it for whoever I'm watching it with. So I spent the first 10 minutes going, this is stupid, Jane. Why can't I watch? I want to watch a horror movie. And I was like, look, I don't know. Why are they saying? I can't understand what they're saying. The music's too loud. I don't like this music. That's stupid. Why is he there? And so at the point where Jane was about to kill me, I suddenly went, oh, that's cute. And then that was it. It was hook, line, and sinker. It got me. Wow, it's absolutely lovely.
The one thing I didn't like about it, and it relates to the one time I tried to do a movie script, I had the same issue. Is the fact that at the end there's like a break between story and resolution.
Yes.
That's
that montage sequence that's always.
Yeah. That was the only bit like, okay, yeah, it's kind of fine. The film's over. This is okay. Everything's wrapping up.
I agree. It was a little. Look, there was definitely clunkiness. Like, I definitely, and I found this with Garden State as well, whereas like there was clunkiness in that, and for some reason, it made me realize how much latitude you'll give things if you're enjoying them. You know what I mean? Like, if you can. There's a great quote by Francois Truffaut, who has a scene in one of his movies where they shoot the scene and he goes, fantastic. It's the worst accent ever. And then the DOP, the director of photography, goes, oh, look, we're going to have to go again. He's like, why? It was perfect. He goes, well, we could see the camera in the reflection of the mirror or whatever. And he's like, so? If they're looking at the reflection, then who cares? That was the best performance. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, the intent. The other one I use is a weird example. So from Francois Truffaut to Faulty Towers. In Faulty Towers, when you watch that show now, none of the gags work. None of them. They miss slaps, they miss falls. You see things coming a mile away. It is the intent that makes you howl with laughter. You can see the wind up, and it doesn't matter whether he hits them or not. The idea of what they're doing is what makes you laugh. You know what I mean? It was a neat thing. At least that's my excuse for screwing up everything in Dog's Breakfast. Anyway.
I'm just like John Cleese.
Yeah. I see. I can screw things up too. Yeah. All right, epigenetics. Let's go back to this for 1 second. I think one of the fascinating parts of it, though, is that we're now looking at this as a possible way of doing genetic engineering instead of. I mean, people are terrified that we're going to splice and cut and add something to our DNA and then screw things up for mankind in general. Does this not give us the possibility that maybe we can mess with just the protein creation as opposed to the actual genetics itself? That's the closest you'll get to a no from a scientist. Idiot.
Well, look at the time. So there are drugs we currently have on the market for, say, breast cancer, which will go into a cell and act as a transcription factor to turn on a gene or turn off a gene.
So, sorry, transcription is the process of creating the proteins that the gene wants you to. Is that right?
No, that's translation. Transcription is when you go from DNA to mRNA.
Right. Okay, got it. Sorry. All right, yep.
Yeah. So
I had a 50-50 chance of getting that right. I got it wrong. There you go. Okay.
You fluffed it.
Yeah.
So,
I'll edit that later.
Have we still got Wolf Pup? I want to bring him in.
We've bored Wolf Pup to death already. I guarantee you.
Still there.
Oh, no, I'm just here. My dad just came home and he was talking to me, so I left myself on mute.
How dare you listen to your father? Yeah. Did you have a question for Vipup?
So, Vipup, do you know how genes work?
Do you mean like how cells work?
Yeah, like if you have a gene, what does a gene do?
I do not know. They have not really taught that yet.
It makes my legs look longer. When I put them on, the jeans, they're amazing. Yeah, that's a dad joke.
I've only ever worn jeans for like the last 20 years. I remember they were bad. They were considered like ruffian clothes.
Yeah, now they're like, that's my dress up pants now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got my fancy jeans. So Viper, a gene, a Gene, as opposed to GEAN, they are how your cells decide to do something. You can think of them as the instructions for life. So each gene, and humans have a bunch. I don't know. I'm not a human geneticist.
But they're in every cell in our body, are they not? Are there not? There's DNA in every single cell in our body, is there not? Is that
almost every cell?
Yeah.
Right. So there are a few cells, like your blood cells, for example, don't have.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah, right.
Don't have any DNA anymore. They lose that DNA, but they start with DNA. They're made as a normal cell, and then they get rid of the DNA. So
really, Jesus,
humans have. I want to say 20,000 genes, give or take.
You know what? I would say it. Just say it anyways.
20,000. It's go with authority.
There's exactly 20,000. Got it.
Exactly. No more, no less. And we've only known that for like the last 20 years. Like when
I've only known that for the last 20 seconds.
The Human Genome Project came to fruition when I was about your age. How old are you now? 5 up? 12? 13?
13.
13. So I was like 12, 11 or 12 when the Human Genome Project finished.
Really?
So I was about your age when we... Yes, David.
Do you want to hear scary? I was doing interviews to do websites for companies that were working on the Human Genome Project. That's how old I am. Yeah.
So before this point, we didn't know really anything about what we knew. We didn't know how many genes there were in the human body. We kind of assumed that more genes meant more like a better thing, but
we were wrong on that one.
we were really wrong. Like a plant, like a lily in a pond, has a lot more genes than we do as humans. The point isn't more genes means more better biology.
Advanced or
more
anything.
complicated things. Yeah, you can control a lot more systems with one gene than you can with like just making loads of genes. It's kind of wasteful. And the interesting thing is, like, again, our genome, the amount of DNA we have is 3 billion base pairs. That sounds right.
But and a bunch of it's junk anyways, isn't it? Or, well, we think might be junk.
Junk. We don't use junk anymore as a term. And this is what
Great. I'm just offending biologists left, right, and center. First, it's that.
Just causing issues.
Yeah. I know.
So in bacteria, the better biology, the stuff that we know a lot about, and the actual interesting stuff, we
all
have
in phages.
on average. We have on average, every gene's about 1,000 base pairs long. Okay, and there's not a lot of non-coding DNA.
So 1,000 base pairs. You mean that is 1,000 of those like rungs on the ladders type thing? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So the double helix, each one of those. Got it. Yeah.
Each letter. So in human DNA and other animals and plants and stuff, that number is far, far lower. So the genes are longer, but also there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't code for genes. Like, there's a lot of empty space, stuff that we like, oh, this isn't a gene. It doesn't make a protein. That's what a gene is. It's a section of DNA that the DNA copies into mRNA and then into a protein.
Right.
So your body uses this language of genes to make proteins, and proteins do everything. That's all life basically makes use of proteins.
They do little machines. They're like scaffolding. Yeah. They're like everything. Yeah. Got it.
They are the go-to get stuff done of biology. If you need something done in biology, the best chance is a protein. They're the James R. Gurney
of the body.
Yeah. I wish.
They get stuff done.
If I was half as useful to my proteins.
There was a recent article, I think it was even this week, where they were saying that potentially some of that quote-unquote no longer called junk DNA was viral related. Was like a virus was.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Loads of it. We know this for a fact.
Oh, that got him excited, didn't it, folks?
You're David.
Oh, did you say virus? Yeah.
You said viruses. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Look at that. You can hear the smile.
Okay. Yeah, I'm grinning ear to ear. So, okay. HIV virus, horrible thing, terrible thing. It's a retrovirus, so it has to copy its genetic code back and forward to get it to the right structure. Doesn't matter. HIV matters, but it doesn't matter for the story. What matters is it's a type of retrovirus. Okay. In each mammal, in every placental mammal, everything that gives birth via placenta, how do you make a placenta? Like there is an argument it's the most complicated organ in human anatomy, or in any anatomy. This placenta, it's a single layer of cells in humans. So when obviously normally, if you look at a microscope, you look really close at your arm or your liver or whatever, there's lots of tiny individual cells, each with their own little domain, doing their own stuff, getting along happy. A placenta has to wall off the fetus from the outside environment, the mother, bacteria, viruses, all these other things. We know for a fact the way the genetic code does this is there is an old virus that placental mammals captured at some point, an old retrovirus. And what it does is the opposite of Ebola. So Ebola, the virus, one of the things it makes that kills you is it tells your cells that are holding hands with each other, keeping really close to each other, so they're keeping tight junctions. Ebola tells these cells, hey, let go. Just drift away from each other. That's why you bleed out of everywhere. Literally, your cells give up the glue between them and stop holding together.
Wow.
So your blood vessels...
It's like the Incredible Melting Man. Okay, wow.
Yeah. Horrible.
You could really try to sound slightly... You sound so excited about that. Yeah. Horrible death. Yeah. Okay. Let's give it to mice. That's basically how you scientists work, isn't it? Oh, what a horrible disease. Let's give it to a bunch of mice.
There's a great Coax video I wrote like a decade ago about this. About Ebola.
I saw it. I saw the Ebola one.
Yeah.
That back in the those naive days when we thought Ebola was the thing to worry about.
Oh, but still worry about Ebola. Trust me, it's horrible.
Oh, I do. Trust me. Thanks to your video. Yeah. I'll look that up while you're talking, actually, so I can put it in the link.
The virus inside of all of us and part of the DNA does the opposite. It's the same kind of virus, but it tells the cells to not let go, but join really tightly together, so it forms a single layer. So now the placenta, there's no way for anything to get through it, like anything like bacterial, viral. There's no holes. There's no way for it to hey, I can just sort of, because a lot of bacteria really like to sneak between the gaps between cells and get into stuff, and that's how they infect tissues like inside your body. There's no way to do that now. So we know for a fact that a virus at some point infected our great ancestors, that everything that's placental mammal at least. And that is the reason why we give birth, we can give live birth and not inside eggs and stuff like that, because of this viral infection.
Wow. So that it's we've harnessed its power to repel the things that we want it to repel, basically.
We've harnessed the ability of what probably caused an infection at some point as a benefit inside a very specific part of our life cycle. It's, sci-fi wise, it's like the goal doing something useful for the host at some point. Like,
right.
Throw it back to Stargate.
Right.
Good thinking. People in chat and out.
That's it.
I think
I'm out.
Wolpuff just had to go to dinner.
That's it. Wolpuff's got to go eat something now, because all that placenta talk making him hungry.
Well, yeah. So we know for a fact that there are large chunks of viral DNA that have ended up in our genomes.
Right. And people would argue that this is at some point I and Dr. and PhD are going to talk about the Life on the Edge, because I finished that today.
Oh yeah.
It's
oh, did you? Good, great.
I did. Yeah, I don't understand it, but I finished it. It's like, monkeys can monkeys read philosophy? Yes, they can. They just can't understand it. Fish called Wanda.
Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But okay, so we have harnessed that, but the placenta, you said as well, was something. There's something else about the placenta, or that was what you were saying about the placenta? Was this viral?
Oh, there's lots of this. Yeah, the thing I was saying about was the viral.
It's also the
stuff.
stem cells is also stem cells was the example of epigenetics that I went, oh, that makes sense to me, where they said depending on how where the stem cell is, what it's next to, what the temperature is, and all that stuff will determine what proteins are around it is what determines how this stem cell will turn into a tooth or a brain or whatever, right?
Yeah. So there's lots of, this is one of the more complicated parts of developmental biology. So there's a really nice process called the clock and wavefront development. So
sounds like a YouTube video.
It does. I've tried to get Kurscott to write one about, to make one about it. They haven't done it yet. Let me just grab my copy of Walpole on Tickle off the shelf.
Is it somatogenesis? The model of somatogenesis? Or just the clock and wavefront model explained, perhaps?
Clock and wavefront model explained would be a good, if you're looking at links.
All right, I got
I've grabbed my copy of my development by Walpole.
This is how I learn things now. I listen, and then I go and read it all again, because I in the hopes of getting it to lock in better.
But it's a really beautiful process by which, on one side of a bunch of cells, like the blastocyst, you've got a couple of baby embryo tissues, 10 to 20 cells, let's say. On one side, they tether just a few strings of mRNA to the edge of the cell. On the other, and obviously, that mRNA is now stuck in that location. So when proteins get made, they diffuse away from that side. So if the mRNA is on the right-hand side of your image, the protein is getting less concentrated from right to left. On the other side of the cell, there's another thing. So all that's happening is you eventually get to a point where you get peaks and waves, like light particles, right? Depending where you are in the mRNA concentration, the protein concentration, all these multiple different parts of the system. Each cell counts. How many proteins do I see? How much of this RNA do I see? What is the pH? All these sort of things. And this is where the wavefront nature of this thing comes from, because there can be interference, right?
Hmm.
If you have too much of A and not enough of B, it now changes behavior. It doesn't do it. So you get segregated cell development along this axis. And it's
that's very specific to what it's sensing around
very
it.
specific to that's how it knows how to put together the cell.
So this relates just to stem cells?
The body, not cell. At this point, they are obviously stem cells. This is really early on in development.
Right. Okay.
Super early on in development.
I mean, because stem cells are they're like the wonder drug now, and that they're the ones that people seem to inject them everywhere in the hopes that they're going to become whatever it is that they're supposed to, and fix whatever's ailing you.
Well, your buddy,
Joe. Yeah. Joe's been playing with him. Yeah. You sound so thrilled by
which
that.
I find nuts.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like, he's literally jabbing himself with giant needles and sucking out the fat, then centrifuging the blood and pulling out stem cells and having them form. I'm really hoping he doesn't start injecting. I think he's smart enough not to start injecting himself with that, because he's gonna have teeth growing out of his back and things otherwise. So,
yeah, he'll get probably get a teratoma, which is
there's a whole sort of like cancerous quality to them as well, because they literally could be any cell. They become the wrong cell, and you got an issue.
I'm pretty sure it formed what was known as a teratoma.
What teratoma? What is that?
It's a cancer that typically has teeth.
Oh.
Do not Google it, people, because it is horrifying.
I'm just clicking and pointing. I'm not actually. How would you spell it if you weren't looking it up?
Teratoma. I believe it's just terror, as in horror.
Well, that's a good name for it. Let me see what it... Oh, dear God!
Yeah.
Oh, my God! It's got hair!
It's got hair, it's got teeth. I was going to say something very mean.
Oh, God. Oh, that's horrendous.
Yes.
Oh, dear God. James, why would you tell us to look that up?
I knew you would if I told you not to.
Yeah, that's true. You should look this up, you should have said, and then I wouldn't have. Because
You wouldn't have done it.
You're not the boss of me. Yeah. No, that's pretty creepy. I think I've seen them before. I think I've seen them in relation to horror movies.
Yeah.
There was a horror... Yeah.
But yes, I mean, if you inject stem cells into your body, that's one of the things that may happen.
Like, they differentiate, but they differentiate in the wrong way.
Yeah. The way your body gets put together is super strict. And
right.
This is part of the reason why most pregnancies actually end in self-termination, because something goes wrong, and the immune system on the mother says, "Hey, we have to abort this fetus," and you never know about it almost most of the time never know about it, and it's because it's really hard to put together a human or any animal.
Which is weird. There's this weird combination of there's an incredible resilience and strength, and at the same time there's this incredible fragility to it. It's a weird kind of a juxtaposition of abilities that we have. We're like both pathetic and amazing at the same time. Well, certainly I am.
We're monkeys sitting on a wet rock in deep space. I think we're pretty resilient.
It's true.
If all things go, this is pretty amazing that we're able to have.
But we still don't know how we work. Like, that's what I find amazing, is we still, like, this book, this Life on the Edge, which I don't want to get into too much because we'll talk about it on Dr. and PhD's thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But this idea that maybe the stuff we don't understand, some of that stuff is a quantum related thing, which is fascinating. They have there's a great piece in this book that I got to near the end, and where they said, like, an engineer's you got a boat in dry dock with a small keel, right? So it's a very tippy boat, basically. And it's like we're at the stage where we take the boat and we put a giant wall around it and we suck out all the air and we stop the water from moving and we stop it so that the boat doesn't fall over. But in nature, the boat doesn't fall over because of all of this crazy random activity all around it. Like, by it being in the water and a part of this chaos system of chaos, it remains upright, and that this sail that we have that gets it moving works with the chaos to create order, basically. It makes me nervous because I feel like it's very easy to go like, and that's why we're all beings of light. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But there was some fascinating stuff there. I thought certainly some of the tunneling stuff that they were talking about. At a certain level,
tunneling stuff is I wish I knew more about quantum physics, because it's a direct problem I have in my research.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have when a virus attaches to a cell. Okay, in my bacteria, it has 3 different walls it has to break through, and I don't know if anyone. I don't know. Maybe someone has looked at it. I've looked for the research to see if anyone's correctly identified, but there's not an easy way for the DNA of the phage to get from the outside into the inside of the cell. And when I was reading this book, I was like,
I thought it just had a big giant cartoon needle that's stuck in.
No, the needle's not long enough.
Oh.
This is the secret of the thing. Like, the needle is typically not long enough to get through all 3 layers.
So it's permeating it and spreading somehow, or
maybe there's a protein that I work with on one of the membranes that it sits on the inside membrane. So again, there's the 3 layers. It sits on layer number 1 at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We know that protein somehow gets iron from outside the cell into the cell.
Right.
And most of the models have it like having this big wavy arm that captures iron and flings it into the cell effectively.
Right.
When we break that gene, a lot of phage also struggle to get in. And the size of iron and the size of DNA, like, hugely different, right? So it's like, what is it? Why are those?
I'm assuming iron is larger.
Iron's much smaller.
Is it?
Iron's an element. Like a single element of iron versus a DNA structure, which
I have no sense of size. I have no sense of size, and it's one of my biggest issues with biology and astronomy, for that matter, is the scales. I struggle. I always struggle with the scale. Okay, so sorry. So a particle of iron then is it? What you,
like imagine a single atom of iron.
A single atom. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. That's harder to get smaller than an atom without exploding shit. Yeah.
And a gigantic structure of DNA, which is, even a single base pair is multiple times bigger than the iron.
Well, they're almost visible, aren't they? In some cells, they're like visible. Once they're unraveled.
I can see the DNA from my phage if I extract it all in one wire, because it's a long, thin.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, you can see it in a tube.
Okay. Right.
You can visibly see the DNA at some point.
Right. That weird stringy, transparency, slightly creepy looking stuff. Yeah. So you don't know why that's doing that.
I don't know. And part of me is now like, is there some weird quantum tunneling that happens, like with the DNA coming through the membrane?
Just so people understand, so the quantum tunneling thing is fascinating. The idea is basically, if let's say a particle needs to go up and over a hill, and you have to give it a certain amount of energy to get up and over that hill, they're discovering that in the quantum world, sometimes it just goes through the hill. And thus there are. Oh, is that? Sorry, are you trying to speak, or is Vipa back?
Yeah, I'm back. Can somebody quickly make a cheesy joke?
Somebody make a cheesy joke about.
Just about anything. There's a new Discord feature that I want to test out.
A new Discord feature about a cheesy joke. What did the grape say when the elephant sat on it?
I don't know. What did the grape say?
It let out a little wine.
Oh, you have to have nitro. Oh crap, that sucks.
Why? What?
They added a soundboard thing.
Oh, really? They've added a soundboard? Wait a second, do I have to have nitro?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I think I stopped paying for nitro. My wife went through all of my subscriptions and started going like, do you know you're subscribed to this? I'm like, no, what's that? That sounds great. She said, well, you've been subscribed for a year. Maybe we should cancel it. I'm like, damn it. So, stupid tax time. Okay, so you're saying this gets me excited because, like, I don't know why I guess because I didn't finish school, I just assumed we knew everything. Like, I figured we just sort of explained everything there was to explain with this stuff. And then this quantum thing starts happening, and I'm like, we don't know anything. Like, we literally don't know the underpinnings of our reality. Like, it does magical stuff that we can't explain. It goes through things that it shouldn't go through. It interacts with things that it's not touching. It is in all places at the same time, like, not in a conceptual way. It's literally in the
mathematically. It's
that watching the kettle truly stops the kettle from boiling, like that kind of stuff. Like that was the one that blew my mind. I was like, so wait a sec, a proton, was it a proton that won't decay? A radioactive, whatever it is, won't decay if you're looking at it. Like, I was like, what? You stabilize it by looking at it. Like, that is like Doctor Strange crap.
Well, this is the stuff that makes me think we're in a simulation. I'll be honest.
Where they're just fudging it?
Yeah, they're like, the developer was like, well, they'll never look that deep.
We need some exceptions. Yeah.
Like,
actually, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Floating physics. It's fine. It works to the matrix at this level. It's fine until if they ever look this deep, no one will believe them. They won't understand it.
That's fascinating. Well, we got to come up with lots of level stories because the levels is all about that, and it's such a great model, both as both a financial model and a sci-fi model that you could almost make any movie you want because it all relates to simulations within simulations and all sorts of stuff.
I should send you my pitch then.
Oh, great!
I've had this pitch for a long time.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
screw the pitch, write the script.
Yeah, no, it's basically So I wanted to write a book in 2018 about what humans would do during an outbreak.
Right.
And then I was like, I'll do it later.
I'll do it after. I'll just do it after this pandemic.
And then a pandemic happens. Like, oh, god damn it!
Stupid virus.
It would have been so rich if I just written it 6 months before. Because someone picked up like, hey, look at this infectious disease biologist wrote this cool book.
Right.
I say cool book. It might have been terrible. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They'd be like, he called it. Him and Bill Gates.
Yeah. Well, what I did call was the fact that people would not trust the vaccines, and I was like, Anyway. Yeah. I've got to run.
Yes, you run.
Now that Wolfbutt's back.
But we should definitely organize a Dr. N PhD chat because I would love to talk about this book because it's a lot of stuff that I don't understand, but it's fascinating. All right, get out of here. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
I'm always happy to hang around. I've got 5 minutes. I can finish with Wolf Papa just learn what genes do.
Oh yeah, so genes.
This is educational.
Yeah. Poor Vibe Pup's just like, what? I don't want to learn something. But if I've got this right, then genes are the blueprint. They're not even the blueprint. They're better than that because they are the instructions, the code that will explain to the cell what it needs to make for it. Right? Is that basically?
Yeah, and as I said early on, you've got a lot of genes. So your body has to decide which genes to turn on, when, and how. And,
right.
Like you have this really nice system called Hox boxes. So HOX. You could take the Hox box genes from a shark, for example, and put them in a fly, or the other way around. I want to say that was the test they did in the original paper. And you'd think, hey, if I put the Hoxbox genes for an eye from a fly into a shark embryo, I'm going to end up with this weird, like, shark with fly eyes. And you don't. You end up with a shark with fairly normal eyes because it's the same. The evolution is using the same types of building blocks to say, hey, if I find this at this point, and this at this point, and this at this point, all these checkpoints, I will do this. And it's a really, really beautiful way of building the cells together.
You could say it, or you could say it's really boring because you don't have a fly-eyed shark.
You don't have, yeah.
Frankly, I go for a fly-eyed shark any day.
You gotta wonder what the scientists were hoping there, right?
Or like tiny little flying sharks. Like,
God.
Yeah, what were they thinking? That's true. What are they? You know what we should do? Let's take sharks. What else? Maybe something poisonous. Like.
Yeah. No, it's that's half the fun of biology. Just see what you get away with.
What? And you have a problem? And you have a problem with the Odin? That's all they're doing.
The government pays me to do it. That's my problem.
I see. Okay, yeah.
The
government?
Free.
No, the university pays you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they get their money from the government, right?
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
So
You know-
they're doing it for free. They're devaluing my job by doing it for free.
Oh, I see. So they're like non-union actors to me.
Yeah, they're scabs.
Oh God, what a horrible term. Like what? It's whoever the genius was who came up with that. It's amazing because I just don't like. I don't want to talk about those people because of the name. Yeah. Very smart. Very, very smart.
So Wolf Pup. How much about genes have you understood so far? Let's go back to this.
What level are you on in the game?
I did not realize that my mic was muted. Basically, what I understand about genes are they basically make up everything, and it's how you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just long stretches of chemicals in your body, and the whole point of them is to make proteins. So proteins and DNA are two different chemicals. DNA is made of things called nucleotides. Proteins are made out of amino acids. So all of life is kind of a juggle between these two structures. How your DNA is activated and how that activation is then changed and made into proteins. And then proteins are the things that just do stuff, right? Your hair's made of protein, your teeth, your nails, everything. Proteins can do lots of really cool stuff as well.
Including splice DNA, and like that's the whole CRISPR thing, right? They've got those.
That's
what are they called? The
CRISPR,
ribosomes that'll just go clunk and chop stuff up, and it's. I was not excited about this when I was 5 pups age because I was interested in robots and that kind of stuff.
Well,
the reality is these are squishy robots.
Yeah, as I was saying, like the Human Genome Project was coming to fruition when I was about 5 pups age, and it really like just showed, hey, because as you said, you think we know everything. You think like everything is less like, oh, we've got that all down, and you find out 5 years before you came to the field, we had no idea. We didn't know. Like
Dude,
say like
there-
about statistics.
There's a
We made
billion
up
jellyfish. We don't even know all the jellyfish that exist. Like everything I look into, it's like, oh, and this is a great area for study because no one's doing it. I'm like, epigenetics came up. Am I saying it right? I want to say epi, but epigenetics came up, and they're like, well, it's a new field for genetic engineering. I'm like, see, there's another one. Like, there's all these cool jobs I didn't know about. You know?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book on this? Did you read the Molecular Biology of the Cell? Was that the classic textbook? That's the one that I keep getting recommended, but it's like $150 or something.
Yeah, I don't want to read that. Unless you want to do a degree in.
It was fascinating though. I have a pirated PDF copy, but I find it very difficult to read because I want to be able to click on things and look them up, and I can't do it because it's a PDF copy, right? So, and they don't have a digital version, or they do, but it's like subscribe for $700 a month or something.
No, yeah, don't do that. But you can buy them secondhand. They're most of the same stuff.
But it's a hard copy then.
Yeah.
Dude, I hurt myself. I fall asleep reading it at night. I'm gonna get hit by that. Have you seen the size of that book? Yeah, I come back with bruises.
Unfortunately, one of my favorite books, I struggle to recommend because it was written by a terrible person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's two books by Matt Ridley.
But he's just an ass.
He's
What is it with these jerky biologists?
So there's lots of stuff he did. Which
Okay.
is strange. So the book was called Genome: The Autobiography of You or something, maybe of a species, and then the second book was Nature via Nurture.
The
And those two
Autobiography
books-
of Species in 23 chapters. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is an excellent book.
Really?
Yeah.
But whenever you say his name, just spit.
Yeah. The worst thing is he's congratulated me a couple times about stuff I've written. I really like this fantastic.
What is it that you don't like about it? What is the issue with him?
Oh,
What is-
he was a global warming skeptic and then became COVID skeptic. He also was the chairman of.
Sorry, what's the skeptical part about? Like, I don't believe there's a virus happening. Like, what's? I don't believe in
Skeptical of
pandemics.
vaccination, skeptical of like how we should control it and like, oh, we shouldn't be doing quarantines or vaccination things. He was also the chairman of Northern Rock, the bank that collapsed in the UK and caused the financial crisis.
He was a banker as well.
Yes, he was on the board of the bank. He was one
Wow. Okay.
running it.
Right.
So a typical banker, and
So a bank, yeah, right, great. Banker and conspiracy theorist, and as it turns out, great writer on the autobiography of the species. Okay.
yeah. So
I'll.
those two books are really good.
Okay, so what was so I got one of them. What was the other one?
Nature versus Nurture.
Which, as we're saying, may not be. It may be nature and nurture, or the nature of nurture.
But I really enjoyed those two books. I've got to go. My boss is here.
All right, go. Get out of here. Yeah. No, it's outreach. It's outreach for the university. Well, University of Georgia U. Go Georgia U. Thanks, man.
No worries, mate.
Cheers. Actually, that's probably a good time. Anyways, it's almost 5 o'clock. Okay, so we've got nature, nurture. Where's I can't find the one that he was talking about. Nature via nurture? Was that the one? Matt Ridley, nature via nurture.
This is me being lazy. Tomorrow morning.
Oh, he's still going. Should I turn it? I'm going to mute him just to make sure that he doesn't get by accident. I don't want him giving away any secrets. Here we go.
I don't think you should mute him so he doesn't give away any government secrets.
That's it. I was going to say, like, I don't want him. There you go. I've muted him. There you go. Muted. Can you hear him now? No, I can hear you, Vipup, I think. Do you have TV on in the background or something?
Yeah, I can't really hide that, though.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I just want to make sure that I don't want to, like, I thought I was still hearing Jim stuff. That's all. Jim, the Evo. I'm just going to text him as well and just let him know that I have muted him. Can I do that? How do I do that?
Remember to unmute him next time.
Actually, you know what? Do you mind, Vipup, do you mind if you do it? Would you just text him? Let him know that I've muted him, but that he's still on.
Yeah, I'll send him a quick message.
That'd be amazing, because I can't for some reason figure out how to do that, because I'm an old man. Okay, so 2 good books to read. Oh my God, I got more reading to do. Holy crap. I just find this stuff, like, I really thought it was the boringest stuff when I was at school. Like, grade 8. I remember grade 8 biology, and it was freaking boring. But the reality is, we're in a position right now, like Vipup could be literally changing human evolution by the time he's working in a lab somewhere. You know what I mean? Or they're working in a lab. Are we they? What do you prefer, Vipup? They?
I'm him.
Him?
Yeah.
Him. Okay. So, but I was saying, like, by the time you're in university, you could literally be changing the machinery that makes us what we are into something else. Like, we could become, like, literally, you could evolve the species. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By genetically engineering them. You know, or creating little nanobots to go and zap cancer and stuff. I had not realized. My father tried to explain to me how cool this stuff was. He was in fertility, so he did a lot of test tube babies and stuff. But it was just amazing. Oops, I'm gonna take you down a little bit on the user volume because I'm getting a little bit of background noise, Vipup.
Just mute when I'm not talking.
Oh, do you want to do that? Yeah, actually, that's probably better. Yeah, I would do that. So feel free to jump in whenever you need to. Well, look, I haven't had a chance to go through this. Let me just quickly go through the email of awesomeness, because there's a few things in here that I think are worth talking about. I feel so fortunate to know the people I know, thanks to, Stargate and these chats and stuff, that they're just, the fact that we can have someone as brilliant and as charming as the Prof Doc James R. Gurney to come in and talk about this stuff is just fantastic. I should go through and say some thank yous, because I've seen a few things zip by. I need to say a first time chat. Eric W6 says, "Hi, Saucefire." Is Saucefire here? Hey, Saucefire! Woohoo! Saucefire was the brilliant mind behind our D&Ding, which was just a lot of fun. There's a great X-Files episode, mad scientists using a fly hawk's genes to make Frankenstein monstrous creations. God, I loved X-Files. Dr. N, PhD, by the way, another person to watch once the audio issues are sorted out. Did you figure that out, by the way, Dr. N, PhD? Having so many issues with audio. It was not just me who has problems with audio. First time chat from Romeo49525. Hi, Mr. Hewlett. Everyone's so polite. They're like, "Hey, Stargate genius. Welcome to the chat." First time chat from Pezliz. "Hey, it's my dead second cousin." It's my dead second... What? It's my dead second cousin. Don't know how that works. But anyways, welcome with whatever weird things you have to add to the conversation. Anyone else in here? Have we said hi to Cal yet? Has anyone woken up Cal? Has Cal poked her head? Did Cal see her own shadow? Is it going to be a long summer? Genes are like Google's homepage. If you look at the source of the page, it's a gigantic mess of code. And that's the result of 25 years of controlled evolution. Now imagine 3.5 billion years of uncontrolled random evolution. And you have DNA. That's kind of fun. Pancreatitis. All right. I think, have I got everybody? Did I say hi and thanks you to everybody? Hi, Cal. Crapped. Oh, cramped, not crapped. That's good. He's cramped themselves. Ginger Tom, thank you for the subscription. Thank you very much. How do to you too? You're too kind. We raised $5,500 for children in hospitals. Frickin' A. That is great. Let me while we're here, let me throw up. That's bad Greek food that I had for lunch. Let me throw up Child's Play charity because I think you'll like what these folks do. I was impressed. I'd never heard of them before Saucefire got me into them. So and now look at that. Now we're shilling for them. All right, here we go. That is the Child's Play charity. So if you feel like you got some money to burn, they're good people to throw it at. What do we got? Love Hammer. My name is Cal. Bright and cheerful. I'm all rainbows and unicorns. What would anyone do without me? I am the hammer of justice, the Hewlett conscience, our truth speaker, and our little stormy cloud in the chat. Hugs. Oh, Cal, you missed me, didn't you? Is she even around? She's not even around. She's like asleep again. Okay, what do we got? Mr. Clean Tracy. First time chat, AllieJack8434. Hello to you too. Nobody cares about me. What? What is it? Wormhole 42. What are you whining about? All right, we're in the pocket of big children's charity. So true. Yep, we're in the pocket of big children's charity. That's the way it works. How are you, Wormhole? You're right. Nobody cares about any of us. I missed the end of your chat with James. Captain Catherine. It was amazing. We are going to have a discussion with Dr. N, PhD, at some point soon, I'm hoping. And to talk about a book that we read together, which I have taken forever to read because I am the slowest, dullest man alive who only plays intelligent on television. And it is called what was it called? Edge of Life? What was it called? I forgot what it was called. Life on the Edge. I think it was Life on the Edge. I'm looking at Life on the Edge. If anyone wants to read it, I'm going to throw that in the chat as well. Life on the Edge. And it is kind of fascinating. It's the coming age of quantum biology. And it's basically, is it possible? Could it be possible? Boy, that's a long, long, long link. Is it possible that some of the stuff that we struggle with in understanding biology in general, not just human biology, is it possible that perhaps there is some quantum mechanics going in there? Well, I mean, it's sort of, look, I totally buy that there's quantum mechanics involved in things because it seems that, I just don't buy quantum mechanics. I know it works. I know mathematicians and scientists and everyone can explain it all they want. I still feel like we're kludging something. Like it really feels like an afterthought. And you give yourself too much credit, David. Dullest man alive. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on being the dullest man alive. Bite me, I'm Klingon. Life on the Edge. Yeah, it's a really, really fun book. All right, I'm gonna wrap up because frankly, I gotta wait at least 2 hours. I can't stop at 1:58. I'm way too sort of OCD for that. All right, well, science is always expanding. There is so much we don't know, and that I think is the thing that makes me so excited about this stuff. Is that holy crap? Like an idiot like me could actually discover something. Like how cool is that? Imagine what it would be like if you were like 14 years old right now. Like imagine the stuff you could be inventing in the future. At some point I gotta rail on about this whole going to the moon again. Because that was one of the things that I really as a kid, I was fascinated by it, and now I feel like we should just hold off. Not hold off. I don't think we should stop doing it. I just don't think it should be. I just don't see it as a huge priority, which was interesting. Okay, let me see if I can do this. This was okay. Yes, there's a few things that might be worth mentioning about this email of awesomeness. So please, by the way, please, any of the newbies around here who show up, you're gonna love this community. And a great way to be a part of it is to sign up for the newsletter, because I am getting more and more reticent about my social media and stuff online, and this is a great way for me to sort of get some fun, hopefully fun. I mean, I hope they're fun. Fun, politics free. Well, I'm gonna say politics free. It's not gonna be politics free. What am I saying? Of course, I'm gonna have political opinions, but it's mainly just about inspiring tech stuff, like stuff that I see that I get excited about. There's this story, Vipup, you might get a kick out of this one. This is in relation to, there was a podcast that I was listening to by Babbage, by The Economist, they've got a couple of great podcasts if you want to sort of dive deep on some of this stuff. But they were talking about the Third International Summit on Gene Editing. So this is the summit that happened after the one where they announced that a Chinese doctor had already genetically engineered twins and that they were alive and well in the world. Well as I guess they know as much. Anyway, so kind of derailed by this news. Anything that they were going to discuss got kind of thrown into disarray when someone announces that all that stuff that everyone's worried about people doing, someone's already done it, and they've done it in China. So again, huge issue. But what's interesting about it is it did get people talking about it, and it did get people talking about how we need to start dealing with this kind of technology in a way that perhaps we're struggling with AI right now, where no one knows what we should be doing with that. This is genetics that could literally change the evolution of these are genetic changes that have been made to humans that will be passed on to their progeny as well. So this is stuff that's now a part of if they do better than the rest of us, they are the evolution. They're the next evolution. You know what I mean? So, and it seems like China would not be afraid to use them. But I think so I thought, oh, well then this year's will be boring. And sure enough, there was, we've got to discuss this, we've got to discuss that. And then there was the last little bit they started talking about. And it's this wonderful image of, can I open this image in a new tab? What? Open image in a new tab. There you go. I don't want to open it like that. No, just want to open it. View image, see image, inspect image. I see. I got you. Okay. So basically it's this wonderful image of Putin at one side and Macron at the other side. So the French president and the killer, the war criminal whatever, Russian guy, the F Putin, are sitting at this table, and the table is like a city block long. Like, it looks ridiculous. It looks like a joke in a movie how far apart these guys are. And I thought, oh, it was just, I of course immediately just assumed that Putin was being a dink. But as it turns out, Macron had refused to do a COVID test. And I was like, what? What the head of France is refusing to do COVID tests? That's ridiculous. Well, no. He did a COVID test. He did a COVID test in France before he left for Russia. He did a COVID test in Russia with his own doctor. What he was refusing to do was let Russian doctors or Putin's doctors test him for COVID. Because allegedly, I don't know if this is true, but allegedly, according to this story, it's because they didn't want the Russians to have that kind of ready supply of Macron DNA. And I thought, what the frack could you do with that? But it's literally a gene war. Like, one of the ones that they brought up, which I thought was kind of like weird, but interesting. You take that DNA, you somehow, you embed it in some kind of a viable sperm, and you knock up some woman in Russia and claim that Macron's illegitimate child lives, or whatever. Or could you do like a James Bond and have a virus that only targets this specific DNA? Like, all of a sudden I started getting kind of nervous because I'm like, holy crap, if France is worried, like the head of France is worried about this, like this is a whole other part of genetic engineering that while I'd sort of like, it had drifted past my consciousness, this story kind of brought it home for me, where I suddenly went like, it seems a little paranoid because I feel like if he's in Russia, couldn't they just like wipe down the table after and like get some DNA that way or something? I mean, like, I feel like there's other ways of doing it, but I just thought I think more important than the whether this thing was truly a legitimate concern or not, what it got me thinking about it and going like, wait a second. Like, are we going to live in a world where you want to be careful not to leave DNA around? Like, that's kind of creepy to me. Anyways, I thought that was kind of neat. I don't know if anyone can think of any other diabolical things that you could do with the DNA that you've got. I'm sure James R. Gurney would have something to do with it, and he'd probably create steaks out of humans. He'd probably have a Macron steak is what he would do, right? Or hair, saliva from a glass. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, Acquatus says that don't forget France's intelligence apparatus is actually competent, so they don't like it. Although, didn't they also blow up a Greenpeace? Didn't they blew up like a Greenpeace boat or something at some point? That's what I'm saying, Mr. Kringling Chasey. Wouldn't it be almost impossible to? But I guess it wouldn't just be that you were. It wouldn't just be that you were leaving those traces of DNA around. I think it would be like I'm assuming that getting a COVID test is a large amount of stuff, and maybe you get some skin cells, or I mean, who knows? I don't know. This is a good question. Hello, Geezer Geek. How the heck are you? I feel like it's been a long time, Geezer Geek. How the heck are you doing? Your hair could fall out without you noticing. Shut up, Nixie Geek. My hair's always falling out. Maybe it's falling out now. I mean that in a completely mocking way. Nixie Geek, I'm entirely teasing. I should really have said, shut the front door, Nixie Geek. Dunpeel Hunter says, is it true? Has the prophecy been foretold? Are you the chosen one? I like to think so, but people call me egotistical. Anyway, so that was one of the things that was up in the email of awesome email. The other one that I got was this may freak you out, Vibe Pup, so don't listen. Is the screaming tomatoes? Do you hear about this? Where basically a bunch of science punks set up microphones, like ultrasonic, like very sensitive ultrasonic microphones. And they detected ultrasonic clicks that were happening when the plants were stressed because of lack of water or when they were pruned. And so, of course, I jumped to this story, this old Roald Dahl story called the Time Machine? No, The Sound Machine. The Sound Machine, which was this short story that freaked me out as a kid, where this like inventor creates this like microphone that's super sensitive, and it starts picking up the sounds of roses screaming while they're being clipped and stuff, and he sort of goes crazy. But it's possible that plants can communicate their discomfort using clicks. And all of a sudden, does that mean, what can we eat then? Is there anything that doesn't scream that I can eat? Anyways, thought that was interesting. Epigenetics. What about that? What do you think about that, Vibe Pup?
Pardon?
Was that Vibe Pup jumping in there? Or is it Jim? No, Jim's still on there. Vibe Pup. Was that you, Vibe Pup, trying to get in there?
No, I didn't hear you said it.
Silence, I say. All right, let me go back to my my little thing. Epigenetics, and then was invisible SquidMen. This was a good one too. I had a lot of fun with the AI art on that one. So there's a fantastic video, and it's the Cypress Hill song. I don't know if you guys know that. Insane in the Membrane. So this song, and it's what they did was they took an iPod, and they clipped off the headphone part, and this is almost as bad as the mice. They then basically inserted that into the right part of a squid fin, and the electrical signal would trigger the muscles that open and close these little pockets, these little bags of color pigment in the squid skin, which is how they can change colors. And it literally puts on like a light show to this insane in the membrane. It's bizarre. You got to see this video. Let me see if I can. Can I cut and paste that? Can I do this? So look here. Let's be copy link address. Will that work? I think I'm copying link addresses from the newsletter, so they might be long and boring. But No, it worked all right. Okay, great. So that's the insane in the membrane one. But it's how they did it I thought was fascinating. And then just how squids do it. And a lot of these cephalopods have this ability to disguise themselves by changing their color. But it's not just changing the color. So it's not just these little bags of pigment that can be open and closed. So there's like little muscles. They go like beep, 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 and they open and close these little pigment bags, so that you go like sort of, oh, lots of brown color, no brown color, lots of brown color, no brown color, a little bit of green, a little bit of blue, that kind of stuff. Well, it's not just that. It also has these other things. So what are they called? Let me see if I got the names. Did I write the names down? Was I good? Did I write the real good stuff? So those are called chromatophores. That's the little pigment things that are attached to muscles. There's also something called iridophores. So the iridophores are light reflecting cells, and they can by changing them, they actually make the light, like scatter the light, so that so they become basically invisible, or they become very visible. So they can change the opacity and the way the light scatters when it hits it based on these little muscles as well. So it started off as this kind of like, well, it actually started because one of the things they've started doing is they figured out a way of getting these same types of cells into, but they basically created like they've got some of this into human cells, basically. So they've taken human cells and they've added some of these abilities to these human cells. And of course, it's a military project to try to make us all invisible to infrared and stuff. But with how they wanted to put them into mammalian cells because they wanted to stop having to sort of pull squids out of the ocean and torture the poor things. So now they could just grow these mammalian cells and that have been genetically engineered to have to I don't know, have these some kind of these features, and then they can layer these things on like tape, and they become, depending on how they put these things together, they can basically, when you have an infrared camera on something, it can hide you from infrared and stuff. So there's all sorts of neat things that they want to do. But I just had this image of these like invisible squid army that would just be would be kind of cool. But it's just, again, one of the neat ways that they've got to play with these things. Was there anything else? Was that it? God, I spent so much time researching this stuff. And then, of course, there's a great thing. There's a great video here. Copy link address. That just explains how the squid skin works. So I'm going to put that in there as well. And then I really will leave you. Can you imagine having your skin made to do the skin trick? Yeah. I mean, Mr. Clean Tracy, imagine like future tattoos, like tattoos that move, like tattoos that animate based on, like some kind of a electrical signal that maybe you can get from, like, maybe you could have, like, when you get angry, you could sort of flush your face and have it do or something like that. It could be kind of creepy, or when you're scared, you match the color, but you match the wall behind you. I mean, there's some really neat things. All of this stuff makes me want to write sci-fi again, I've got to say. I mean, and never film it, because the process of filming seems to destroy everything. All good ideas are destroyed by films. But the there's some conceptual stuff there from a science fiction standpoint that I just think are fascinating. I mean, this idea of, again, I wasn't into the genetic stuff. I wasn't into the biology stuff because it seemed dull to me compared to the computer stuff. But now I'm like, why not play with the computers and the robots of life instead of these silly attempts at mimicking them in the silicone and metal world? It's absolutely fascinating. I've got, as I say, I've got squishy in my old age. My interests are squishier now. I would love to have the angry color trick. Wouldn't that be amazing? The death glare. Imagine blue steel, and then you just beautiful rainbow color that would come around your face. I could totally see people doing that. I could see me doing that. I wonder if there would be a way to do that. DNA is fascinating. Gene manipulation to combat dementia is currently being researched at McGill. Yay! Oh, I'm gonna go talk to people about that then. I think that's fascinating. Yeah, we've got so much to figure out about that. I mean, so much. I am basically a human-shaped squishmallow. It's true, but now my brain is squishy too, or my brain, the desire for my brain to become more squishy. All right, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you all very, very much. Once again, huge thanks to James R. Gurney for joining us. Vibe Pup, as always, it's a pleasure. And Cal, who may or may not have shown, I didn't see her pop up in here, but we love her anyways, whether she's here or not. Wrap up timer, 25 minutes and counting. See? I told you. Hey, go for Fluffernuts here too. And Laura Leatherwood. That's a Laura Leatherwood. Laura Leatherwood. That's like a warm up for actors. Red leather, yellow leather. My mom used to make me say that when I went to parties as a kid to make sure I hadn't been drinking or anything else. She would say, I'd have to say red leather, yellow leather multiple times to prove that I wasn't drunk. So I always called her before I drank enough to have difficulty saying red leather, yellow leather. Of course, the reality is I have trouble saying it even without drinks. So, hi and bye. Bite me, I'm Klingon. I'm out of here. I don't get why we don't have electronics in clothes. Well, Dunpeel Hunter, funnily we do. There's some wonderful stuff. Is it Adafruit? Does some stuff there, some wearable stuff. There's some fabrics that you can do. There's a 3D print that I did that I love. Is it here somewhere? Like, I mean, imagine embedding electronics into something like this. I mean, look at this. This is a 3D printed material. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Like, I mean, you know, I have got some printing filament, which is electronically conductive. So you could have some of this done in a nice soft material, and then some of them done as some circuits because of, as I say, you've got this conductive material that you can 3D print. So I have an LED sound equalizer panel on a t-shirt. Oh, I love those things, Nixie Geek. I've seen those. And credits. The last time someone put a LED board in a t-shirt, the Boston Airport Police went nuts. Did they really? You can get kits with wearable stuff. It's really popular in middle school. There you go. Elizabeth with a Z. How are you, Elizabeth with a Z? By the way, Elizabeth with a Z, please thank Fluffy Cat. I have eaten everything. Like, I'm not kidding. I've eaten that chocolate. I'm working through that massive bar of chocolate right now. That Trader's dark chocolate, that is to die for, that stuff. The taquito things went down incredibly well. I struggled with them. They were a little too tangy for me, but everyone else loved them. Yeah, I demolished that bag of goodies. I hope somebody clipped me opening the package last time, because it was. I'd love to share that with Fluffy the cat for making you carry all that stuff. My wife keeps going like, can't believe Elizabeth had to carry that giant block of dark chocolate. That thing weighs more than my head, and my head weighs a lot. I am very good. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm going to say, be safe, be kind, be brilliant. Until we geek again, I will say cheerio and huzzah. And I'll see you next week. Look out for the email of awesomeness, because I've already got some great ideas for the next one. So all the best, everyone. Thanks very much. Cheerio. I forgot how to turn it off. Make the magic box go. I always get lost at this point where I'm like, great stream. Love you. I love you too, Wormhole42. Thank you very much. Huzzah! Stream can't stop, won't stop. Pull the ZPM. It's true. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye, everyone. Very busy. Bye. Bye.